If you're looking for an exotic travel destination, few places are as mysterious and intriguing as Pyongyang, North Korea. Despite being one of the most secretive countries in the world, it has opened its doors to tourism and offers a unique glimpse into a different way of life. However, it is not your typical tourist destination. So here are 8 things you need to know before visiting Pyongyang, North Korea. Number 8. The only way to visit Pyongyang with a tour guide. It's impossible to travel to North Korea without a tour guide. And while there are some restrictions on what you can see and do, the government-appointed guides are incredibly knowledgeable and friendly. They'll help you navigate the city, explain the history behind its monuments and landmarks, and ensure that you have a safe and enjoyable trip. In addition to the mandatory tour guide, you will also be required to have a visa and a special permit to enter North Korea. You must apply for these documents well in advance of your trip, and they can be expensive to obtain. The government also requires that all visitors stay in government-approved hotels and use only approved transportation. While this may seem restrictive, it allows for a more controlled and safe environment for tourists. The government also monitors all internet and phone usage, so it's important to respect their rules and avoid any controversial topics when speaking to locals or posting on social media. Overall, while there are some restrictions, traveling to North Korea with a tour guide can be a unique and enlightening experience. They are trained to handle questions about sensitive topics with grace and ease, ensuring that your trip is both educational and enjoyable. Number 7. No wandering alone. As mentioned earlier, it's forbidden to explore Pyongyang on your own without a guide. This is because the North Korean government closely monitors the activities of foreigners in the country, and they are not allowed to roam freely. If you try to explore the city alone, you could face severe penalties. Additionally, many areas of the city limits to tourists and locals are prohibited from talking to foreigners in private. This is to ensure the safety and security of both the tourists and the citizens of North Korea. It's important to remember that North Korea is a very different country with different customs, traditions, and laws than what we are used to in the West. By following these guidelines, you can help ensure a smooth and enjoyable travel experience for yourself and others. So, if you decide to visit Pyongyang, be sure to stay with your tour group and follow the advice of your tour guide. 6. No tipping. Tipping is not customary in North Korea. In fact, it is illegal to bring large amounts of cash into the country, and most transactions are done through the government-run currency exchange. While it may be customary to tip tour guides and porters in other countries, it is not expected in North Korea. The government sets strict rules and regulations for tour guides, and they are paid a set amount for their services. Porters, on the other hand, are not allowed to accept tips. So, even if you want to show your appreciation for their help, you won't be able to do so through monetary means. Instead, you can consider bringing small gifts for the tour guide, such as candy or souvenirs from your home country. Remember, it is always a good idea to check with your tour operator beforehand to see if there are any restrictions on what you can bring into the country. Ultimately, it's important to respect the laws and customs of the country you are visiting. Tipping may be customary in some countries, but it is not in North Korea. So, leave your wallet at home and enjoy the experience. Number 5. Photography rules. If you're planning to visit Pyongyang, be aware of the strict photography rules. Taking pictures of certain buildings and monuments is strictly prohibited, and you could get into trouble if you were caught. The government closely monitors what information gets out of the country, and this includes images. So be sure to follow your tour guide's instructions and only take pictures where permitted. For example, you cannot take photos of government buildings, military installations, or any other sensitive sites. Additionally, you must ask permission before taking photos of locals, and it's best to avoid taking photos of police officers. If you're unsure whether or not you're allowed to take a photo, it's always best to err on the side of caution and ask your tour guide first. Not only could you get into trouble for taking an unauthorized photo, but you could also put your tour guide at risk. So please be respectful and follow the rules. Number 4. The lack of internet and cell service. If you plan to visit Pyongyang, be prepared for limited internet and cell service. The country's internet infrastructure is not as developed as other countries, and access to the outside world is tightly controlled by the government. In fact, only around 20% of the population has access to the internet, and it is heavily censored. There is no freedom of speech or access to social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Additionally, most international cell phone providers do not work in North Korea, and you lines need to use a local SIM card if you want to have cell service. However, these SIM cards are expensive and have limited data, and it's not possible to use them outside of the country. Despite these limitations, the government has recently started offering free Wi-Fi in some areas of Pyongyang, though the connection can be slow and unreliable. Nonetheless, this is still a good option if you need to get online during your visit. All in all, it is important to remember that North Korea is a very different country with different customs and technologies than what we reused to in the West. So don't expect the same level of internet and cell service that you have at home. Instead, use this opportunity to disconnect from the digital world and immerse yourself in the unique culture of Pyongyang. Number 3. Limited food and alcohol options. If you're planning to visit Pyongyang, be aware that you may not have the same food and alcohol options that you're used to. North Korea is a very different country with different customs and regulations than what we reused to in the West. The government tightly controls the import of goods, including food and alcohol, and only certain items are allowed into the country. This means that you may not be able to find your favorite snacks or beverages while in Pyongyang. Additionally, restaurants in North Korea are typically only open for certain hours and may not offer the same variety of dishes as restaurants in other countries. Alcohol is also heavily regulated, and only beer and liquor made in North Korea are allowed to be sold. So, if you're planning to visit Pyongyang, be prepared to try new foods and drinks and to stick to the government's regulations regarding alcohol. Number 2. Language barrier. While many people in Pyongyang speak English, it's important to remember that it is not the official language. The most widely spoken language in the country is Korean, and many people only know a limited amount of English. This can make communication difficult at times, but it's important to remember to be patient and understanding when traveling abroad. Fortunately, there are plenty of resources available to help you overcome the language barrier. Phrasebooks and online translators can be helpful tools for basic conversations, and it's also a good idea to download a translation app on your phone. Additionally, many tour guides in Pyongyang speak English, and they can help you communicate with locals if needed. It is also worth noting that the people of North Korea are known for their hospitality and willingness to help foreigners. So don't be afraid to ask for assistance if you need it. With a little preparation and an open mind, you can easily overcome the language barrier and have a wonderful time in Pyongyang. Number 1. Cash is useless. Unlike most countries, North Korea does not rely on a cash-based economy. In fact, the US dollar is practically useless in the country. The North Korean government strictly controls the amount of foreign currency that can be brought into the country, and it's extremely difficult to get your hands on it. Even if you manage to bring some in, it's unlikely that you'll be able to use it for much. Most businesses only accept the North Korean won, and it's illegal to exchange money on the black market. So, if you're planning to visit Pyongyang, it is important to understand that cash is practically useless and you won't be able to use it for much. Instead, you'll need to rely on the government-run currency exchange to get the North Korean won. Just keep in mind that the exchange rate is not favorable, and you lines likely lose a significant amount of money in the process. Overall, visiting Pyongyang can be a unique and unforgettable experience. Despite the challenges, It is a country that is unlike any other, and it offers a glimpse into a different way of life. By understanding and respecting the local customs, regulations, and laws, you can ensure that your visit is both safe and enjoyable. From the grand parades to the ornate architecture, Pyongyang has something to offer everyone. So, if you're looking for an adventure, don't forget to pack your bags and head to North Korea.